I've suggested before on the blog that selling your car is one way to really kickstart a savings goal, because it could provide a big cash injection in one go. And a lot of us are resistant to that because we're maybe set in our ways and think it gives us a certain freedom, even though having a car often makes it too easy to go out and buy big expensive things, or it just feels like too big a change to sell a car. Depending on how much your car is worth, you could consider just getting a cheaper car that's also cheaper to run if you really can't face the thought of going without completely. And I say this as someone who has spent plenty of time waiting on train platforms for cancelled and delayed trains, but you can also do things with season tickets, like ask your employer for a 0% loan for the ticket and invest your own money, because you'll usually only pay them back in monthly installments. So any money you put aside in preparation for the season ticket, you can put into savings instead. And I also say this as someone who owns a car, but it's not worth anything, so I haven't sold it. If you do sell up, you don't have to be stranded. There's also car sharing clubs now. Or are you afraid to hire a car in case they charge you for damage that you didn't cause? So this tip is several tips in one on how not to get stung by car rental companies. One dude had over £2,000 worth of repairs charged to his credit card when he hadn't had any scrapes. Now, the show Super Shoppers found it's hard to prove that the repairs you're charged for actually take place when you're charged for them, and some companies' terms and conditions don't make any allowances for wear and tear. So you could be paying for a 5-year-old scratch and you hand that money over, the scratch doesn't get repaired, the next person hires the car, gets charged for the scratch that was already there, it doesn't get repaired, and that just goes on and on and on. And the only way around that is to really prove that you're not responsible for that wear and tear or any previous damage. So to avoid this, you can take photos and videos with proof of the date of the condition of a car before you drive away. Check reviews for the hire company online. Also use a credit card to pay, as you can also raise a complaint with your credit card provider if you think you've been charged unfairly. In fact, I very rarely use a debit card, because if you make most of your purchases on a credit card, then you always have that protection, but do make sure you pay it off in full to avoid interest or before the 0% interest period ends. So certain brands I think you'll find allow for wear and tear. I think Hertz, Enterprise and Avis in the past have allowed for it. Always check for up-to-date information when you hire though. If a company tells you that they don't allow for wear and tear and that's because it's in line with industry standards, that's not technically correct. So you could either challenge that ahead of time or just make sure that you pick a brand that does allow for wear and tear just in case before you hire.